grade 10s and welcome back to your English lessons. I'm Andrea for those of you who might be new, and I'm your English tutor. Today we'll be looking at a pretty fun topic, which is analysing cartoons. When we talk about cartoons in the English subject, we're usually referring to cartoons that you see in newspapers or magazines, known as comic strips. A cartoon, in this sense, is a simple drawing showing the features of its subjects in a humorously exaggerated way, especially a satirical one in a newspaper or magazine. Cartoons have been used to entertain, criticize, commemorate, and persuade. It communicates different kinds of messages, usually in funny ways. We need to understand how they work and analyze them because they can be used to manipulate readers' thoughts and can also shape the way we see the world. The visual elements in cartoons, such as lines, colors, expressions, and so on, play an important role in creating the meaning of a cartoon. Some cartoons will only have pictures, but if there are words, you need to read them carefully and examine how they work with the pictures in order to create and enhance the meaning. When it comes to the language in cartoons, it can often be idiomatic or figurative. Pictures in cartoons can put the text in context and illustrate the tone of the words. So what's the purpose of cartoons? Cartoons are sometimes just for entertainment, but they can also comment in a very subjective, personal, and persuasive manner on a specific viewpoint. They often use sarcasm, irony, wit, and humor to bring awareness. When looking at and analyzing cartoons, it's important to consider the following things: the composition of the frame or panel of a cartoon, the body language of the characters in the cartoon, what the characters say and how this relates to what they are doing, and lastly, how the characters say what they are saying. Let's look at the composition and frame of a cartoon in more detail. Composition of the frame or panel refers to the arrangement of characters and objects in the frame. Cartoons are usually bounded by a frame that encloses the drawings. For example, in this cartoon, you can see that both frames of the cartoon strip have square borders around them in order to show the sequence of the cartoon. It helps to show you that you should read one frame before reading the next. When it comes to the characters in a cartoon, they can be a caricature or stereotype. A caricature is a drawing or portrait that exaggerates or oversimplifies certain traits in a person's looks in order to make them look funny or stress a certain part of the character. A stereotype is widely held but fixed and oversimplified image or idea of a particular type of person or thing. In some cartoons, animals are used as characters and they have the ability to speak. Caricatures are often used in political cartoons, where politicians' distinguishing features such as hairstyle, nose, chin, or any other distinctive individual trait is highlighted. Stereotypes are often not based on factual information, and they are often wrong. In cartoons, stereotypes are often seen in terms of gender, nationality, or careers. Body language is also an important aspect that you should recognize in cartoons. When looking at body language, you need to look at facial expression, posture, and the way in which characters in the cartoon relate to each other. Looking specifically at characters' eyes, look at whether they are half closed, wide open, or if there's glasses covering their eyes. Can you see the eyes through the glasses or not? You must also notice the character's mouth and the position of their lips. Are they smiling, scowling, and can you see their teeth? A character's shoulders can also tell you a lot. Are they square or slumped? Maybe they're raised in a certain way in order to show that the character is shrugging. Clothing of the character can also be important and could possibly tell you about the socio-economic status of the character. A really important aspect in cartoons that you need to take note of is their facial expressions. When answering questions on a cartoon, do not just write the words facial expression when asked for evidence of emotion. You need to describe the facial expressions you see. Remember that there are more emotions than just happy, sad, or angry that can be seen through facial expressions. Use your dictionary and look up more creative words that describe facial features. Take a look at this picture, and as an activity, in your own time, match the words that are displayed to each of the facial expressions shown. The emotions read as follows: infatuation, shock, boredom, grief, embarrassment, surprise, relief, and lastly, excitement. As part of the activity, you should also suggest one visual feature on each of the facial expressions that made you match it with one of the words you chose to match the face to. Now take a look at this cartoon strip being shown. It reads as follows. This is the worst assignment ever. I'm supposed to think up a story, write it, and illustrate it by tomorrow. This is what Calvin, the boy, says to the tiger. In the second frame, Calvin then says, "Do I look like a novelist? This is impossible. I can't tell stories." In the third frame, the tiger responds with, "What about your explanation of the noodle incident?" And Calvin responds in the fourth frame by saying, "That wasn't a story, that was the unvarnished truth." The comic strip then ends with the tiger saying, "Oh, don't be so modest, you deserve a Pulitzer." So let's say a question in a test asks you to analyze Calvin's emotions in frame 4 of the comic strip. As a very short answer, you could say something like, in frame 4 we can see that Calvin is angry by his body language and facial expression, as Calvin's wide open mouth and eyes suggest that he is angry. Then you must say how you know this by giving evidence from what you see. In this cartoon, for example, try and identify the setting and give evidence for your answer. You could say that because Calvin is asking the tiger to help him with his homework, he is at home. You should also mention that because Calvin is sitting at a desk with drawers and a lamp, that he's possibly in his own room in the house doing his homework at his desk. Okay guys, so that's all for our lesson on cartoons. We looked at some important aspects that you need to notice when it comes to cartoons, as these aspects will help you to analyze a cartoon correctly and answer the questions properly. Remember that the characters aren't physically moving or speaking, they are static pictures. Therefore, you need to infer meaning from the cartoon by looking at the characters' expressions, body language, speech, and so forth. Thank you for joining, and I hope that you enjoyed this lesson. I'll see you next time where we'll be looking at identifying active and passive voice. See you then. Bye guys.